Greetings, Hero Genius here. You know, some people, quite mistakenly and incorrectly, label me as being negative and grumpy. Well, okay, they're right, I'm grumpy, but I'm not negative or pessimistic. On the contrary, you will rarely find anyone quite so positive and optimistic as I am. But what I don't do is indulge in unrealistic optimism. Um, if you go on to LinkedIn in particular, for some reason I'm seeing a lot of this at the moment. Now it could be because of my audience is self-selecting almost. But I'm seeing a lot of guru types and coach types who are, they'll begin on many of their posts. I mean, a typical post from these people is a video or a blog about somebody who's an outlier. So you might have a 90-year-old bloke who's squatting 100 kilograms, or a 70-year-old lady who's running 100 meters in under 12 seconds, that kind of thing. And they hold these things up as an example of not just what's possible, but almost of what's likely for you if you put the time and effort in. Because then they'll go on to say, nothing is impossible, you can do anything. Well, none of these things are true. I mean, like it or not, you have outliers in any population, human or otherwise. You know, and not everyone who gets to be 90 years old is going to be capable of squatting 100 kilograms, no matter how hard they trained or how they looked after themselves in the past. Some people are just not destined to be that way. And sometimes, if you die of cancer at 85, as my father-in-law did, you ain't going to be squatting 100 kilograms at 90. It's just not going to happen. And I don't know why they do it. I don't know if it's because they are ignorant. They suspend their critical thinking and they don't actually think through what they're saying. Or maybe some of them are actually dishonest and disingenuous. They know what they're saying is bullshit, but they say it anyway. I don't know. And maybe it's a combination of all those things. But I am not negative. And, give you some examples of why looking at the worst case scenario, it's like expecting the best but preparing for the worst. Why these things are actually healthy and optimistic. For instance, aeroplanes. Aeroplanes almost never crash these days, and when they do, like these two Boeing 737 MAX 800s that have gone down recently, it's a big deal. Shit hits the fan when the plane hits the ground because it's so rare. It's unexpected and it's just unusual. Well, the reason planes are so safe is because there are bazillions of engineers, many of whom will be autistic, by the way, billions of engineers, or hundreds of thousands of engineers who are specifically looking for problems, both in the software and the hardware, and indeed in the training regime for the pilots. It's a fucking good job. There are lots of people out there with what you might call a negative or pessimistic outlook. They're looking for problems, and the thing is, it's absolutely necessary, because I used to be a software engineer myself, and one of the first things you learn as a software engineer, one of the most depressing things you ever learn as a software engineer, is getting your software to do the right thing is actually surprisingly simple. What's difficult most of the time is trapping error conditions. What happens when the user does what he's not supposed to do? What happens when the lady inputs the wrong data? What breaks? And that's where the problems lie. Catching exceptions, dealing with error conditions, dealing with edge conditions, dealing with the unusual, dealing with what no sane fucking person would ever do to a computer. But that's the hard part. The easy part is just getting it to work properly when things go smoothly. Well, again, you have to have a kind of negative mindset in some ways to catch these things. What could possibly go wrong? And it is not negative. And if you don't take the same approach in your business, you are being reckless. I've done it. I've been very reckless. I'm actually, part of the way I'm wired up means I'm not risk averse at all. I will take risks happily, both physical and financial and business wise. I've done it in the past. I do my best not to do it, because now, obviously, because I'm married and I've got responsibilities, it's not just me who's going to get it in the neck if things go tits up. But certainly in the past, when I split it with my ex-wife, I did some reckless things in business. I did the the rags to riches thing of loading my credit cards when I had no means to pay them off, and things worked out fine. And but for me to then offer that as a legitimate and sensible and sane solution to, say, an up and coming copywriter, say, yeah, just load your credit cards up and pay it off later, it'll be fine. I would never give that advice, because it's not good advice. It's bad advice. But hey, if you say that to people, you're being negative. By all means, shoot for the moon, you might hit an eagle, that kind of thing. By all means, set your sights high. By all means, push beyond what you think you're capable of, because, I've used this example before for pricing, but it's just as valid for any other part of your business. What you know is true and believe is true is like this big. What is actually true is somewhere out here. What you're actually capable of, what prices your clients will actually pay, what you can get away with saying in your business is a lot bigger. What you don't know is the difference between the two, and you won't know the difference between the two until you push. Okay, that is absolutely true. What we're capable of, what we can achieve, is generally far greater than we believe we can. But that's not to say it's limitless. There are hard limits on what we can do. Okay, there's no two ways about it. Anyone who tells you different is either mistaken, lying, or clinically fucking insane. So this is why Connor and I, when we look at your business, when we help you with your business, this is why we take a sane and rational approach to it. We strip it down, we look at it in detail before we send you any traffic at all, before we write you a line of copy or sort of create a single landing page. Because if we don't look at your business rationally and see what's likely to be possible given the bounds of what we know, we are doing you a disservice, and we will not do that. We not knowingly or consciously anyway. We will not go out of our way to send traffic to a fucking lame duck, for instance. So if you want a calm and sane and rational approach to your business, usually uncouth and very non-PC, then by all means PM me and we'll arrange the time to talk. Otherwise, there are plenty of agencies out there who will promise you lots, tell you anything's possible, and send you traffic of some description. That's not us. But it's also why we charge more than any other agency I'm aware of. We charge a lot for the same reason they charge a little, and that is because we are all very well aware of the value of what we provide. Anyway, with that, I'm out of here. The sun looks like it's going to come out. I could do with a walk around the farm. See you later. Ta-da.